Good morning, students. Today we will proceed with our Unit 1, the remaining topics of our Unit 1. The topic is life cycle of raising an enterprise application. As in the previous sessions, we covered the various life cycle models like waterfall model, rational unified process, agile methodology, prototype model. In all the methodologies, we studied that all methodologies follows similar agenda, starting from the initial phase to the final phase, but with different names. Like some are using Inception instead of requirement phase. Some are using some different name, but the technique to complete one software is same. That is all the methodologies cover all the phases. So a common life cycle when we start over enterprise, then which life cycle is to be followed to raise an enterprise application? An enterprise application means here we will consider a one software, a one project that will be related to one enterprise for its completion. Start with development of an enterprise application follows a life cycle with following stages. First stage is incepting. Here I have highlighted few points with green color so that you can easily learn or understand what that phase or stage want to say. Here the incepting is typically starts as a result of enterprise analysis and business modeling activities. Here, incepting means initial phase where the requirement and analysis will be done. Here there is a requirement gathering, or we can use the different terminology as business modeling. Requirement engineering is the key activity. That means we cannot proceed further without the requirement. And to start one enterprise, to complete one software, we must know what are the requirements. Then we go with the requirement gathering, that is in the incepting phase. It concludes with casting the plan and project estimation. Here we can say that we start with the requirement, then requirement gathering is there, then analysis of that the requirements are there, then planning of the project is there, and there is also some sort of risk estimation is there, that how much risk could be there, that we have studied in our rational unified process, that there is some risk estimation is there. Then comes the architecting and designing. Here, as the word depicts, architecture is there and designing is there. That phase must be included some design activities. It takes some key inputs from the enterprise architecture initiatives of an organization. It is a life cycle of building an enterprise application. Then comes the constructing phase. In the constructing phase, we start with the building the application framework components, followed by construction of application components. Unit testing and code review and analysis are also carried out, concludes with component integration. Here, in the construction phase, as the word construction is defining, that means we are going to construct but has been covered in the design phase. In the design phase, in the designing, we have made one layout as a model, data model, as in the form of database, as in the form of UML diagram, as in the form of class diagram, as in the form of sequence diagram. What could be the form in the design phase? We will proceed with the construction phase. Construction phase said we made some application component, that if we have to complete one application, the application is divided into some component, then there is a construction of that components by writing the code. Here in the construction phase, unit testing and code review technique has been completed. What is code review technique? That we will study in our next slide. As in the construction phase, unit testing has been done. How it has been done? Let's take an example of some website. Suppose there is a Gmail. It is providing various services like inbox is there, compose is there, sent items are there, drafts are there, and some trash is there, some drive option is there, some Google Calendar is there. Let's we take these 7 activities. It is not possible for single person to handle all the 7 activities. That means one single application is divided into various modules. These modules are with the name of inbox, compose, trash, sent item, drafts, drive, Google Calendar. Then each person is doing its own activity. That one person is completing one the module of inbox, and when that person is completing the module of inbox, he must be performing some sort of testing there. Then it will be called unit testing, because a single module is tested by a single person. That is called unit testing. Then it says conclude with component integration. When all the coding has been done, all the 7 modules has been completed, then it will be get integrated. But there is no testing after the integration in the construction phase. In the construction phase, only the unit testing has been done. Uh, then after the unit testing and code review technique, there is integration of the components. Then comes the testing phase. After the integration of the components in the constructing phase, in the coding phase, here comes the testing phase. In the testing phase, we may say that different type of testings are performed. Here, when the components are integrated, then component testing is there. Then there is a complete system testing is there. Then it will be a user acceptance testing is there of that particular software, whether it is acceptable by the users or not, whether that software which has been made is working according to the choice of the client or not. It is tested by the customers. Then is the rolling out approach. Successful user acceptance tests lead to application rollout. Here we are using some technical term for the for launching a product. Rollout means launching a software, launching an application, enterprise application, rolling a project. What we say that the software is there, project is there, application is there. The launching, instead of launching, we are using the terminology that is called rollout. I will repeat again. Incepting is all the analysis, all the things that will be related to the requirement are covered in the incepting phase. Then architecture and design, all the data models, databases, any type of diagram, UML, sequence, class is covered under the architecture and designing phase. Then constructing, in the constructing phase, here comes the coding part, and in the coding part there is the integration of components as well, but here the unit testing is performed only and code review technique is done. After that there is a testing phase. In this testing stage we will do integration testing, system testing, and user acceptance testing. It could be possible that it may vary according to some enterprise application development, that which type of other testing they will involve. Then there is finally, when all the things has been done till testing, then there is a launching of product. That terminology we will use instead of launching is rolling out of product. Then comes the code review. What is code review? First thing that comes, code review is, as the review word is here, which the thing which is already been done, but we are reviewing it. We are finding any mistake in there, we are finding any error in there, is called code review. Here the word code is here, so we are finding mistake or error in our code, any drawback in our code. Here we use the term code review. There are following type of techniques in the code review. First type is informal and second type is formal. In the informal, it is further divided into over the shoulder, email pass around, peer programming. In the formal technique, it involves formal inspection, tool assisted. Let's discuss the informal and formal activities. In the informal activity, over the shoulder, it says one developer looks over the author's shoulder as the latter walks through the code. Before coming to this technical definition, I will give you a simple example to understand it. Over the shoulder means you are sitting in your laboratory and your teacher is examining you just by taking one round in your class and find out, and sometimes you are doing any mistake in your code and a teacher will simply say correct your code. He will not assist you, the teacher will not assist you and will not dictate you line by line. He just take a narrow look on your code and find out the error and want to say you to rectify that error. That is called over the shoulder. One developer look over the author shoulder as a later walks through the code. That means a general go through to the code, but there is not a deep studying of that particular code is called over the shoulder code. Then comes the email pass around. Email pass around, the author emails code to the reviewer. Here let's take an example. When you are having some code and you want to review it, but you don't have that person at your existing site. The person is sitting at some other area, and by which way to you can send your code? The only way is by via internet, and via internet means by using email. You send your source code to that person and that person will rectify your error is called email pass around. You will send your code by the email to the other person for its review. It's called the email pass around. Then comes the peer programming. As the word peer is there, that means where the two persons are involved. Here, two authors develop code together at the same workstation. That means two persons are working on the same project is called the peer programming. Either they are working on the same system or the way they are working on two individual system. Here comes the peer programming. After that, they may integrate the code, but they are working over the same project or over the same software is called peer programming. Then comes the tool assisted. As there is a term that is called tool means some inbuilt tool is available where the tool rectify your error, tool will review your code and find out the error. Let's study. Authors and reviewer use specialized tool designed for peer code review. That means the reviewers and authors are using some sort of tools which are used for your code review. Okay, I will give you example that is not completely related to it, but you may find out that this may some little bit related to it. When you make some paper like a research paper, generally it is said that it should be original. It should not be plagiarized. Plagiarized means it should not be copied. There are a number of tools are available over the internet. You will simply search for go to the Google and search for plagiarism checker, right? And when you give your document, they said upload your document, and when you upload your document, they will highlighted the points or highlighted the words that you have copied. That means there is one tool is available that will find out which content has been copied. Either you must write the content or whatsoever you do with the content, the plagiarism tool that is available will find out from where you have copied the content. Even it will tell you where you have copied the content, from which side you have copied the content. That means there are tools are available. Similarly, when you go with the code review technique, some inbuilt tools are available. The author and reviewer, the person who is going to find errors in your code, will not go line by line themselves. They will provide the code to the tool, and that tool will find out the errors in your code. Then is formal inspection. Inspection done by special technical expert is called formal inspections. Generally, formal inspections, let's take some lay example instead of technical, then I will come to the technical point. Sometime in your college or in your institute, it is said that inspection is there. What that inspection means, and it is said to that it is instructed to you that you must come in proper uniform. If anyone asks you about your study, or your education system, you must give proper description about what is your study pattern here and all the stuff. It is instructed to you. That means a other team from some other institute or from some outside area will come to your college or to come to your institute and find out whether all the protocols have been followed by the institute, all the facilities where your institute have claimed is given to you. That means there is some inspection, or other word we may say that there is some checking, is called inspection. Here we are using the term formal inspection. That means you are not inviting your any person for code checking, not over the shoulder, no, and you are not sending an email to other person, you are not using any tool for your code review. Your code is inspected by some team, that you have done your code, and that team will follow your code whether your code is optimal or not. I will again repeat the again all the types. First is over the shoulder. Here, over the shoulder means you are sitting in your classroom and your teacher will find out the error in your code without going the deep study of your code. That is called over the shoulder. Email pass around. That means when you are sending your code via email is called email pass around. Then comes the peer programming. Here, peer programming means peer word is there. That means two persons are coding on some system, either on the same system or on the individual systems, and then there is a code review technique has been applied. It is called the peer programming. Then comes the tool assisted. When there is some tools are available which will find out the error in your code is called the tool assisted. Last comes the formal inspection. When some technical expert or technical team inspect your code, for code review technique is called the formal inspection technique of the code review. Then comes the stakeholders. Stakeholders can affect or affected by the organization's actions, objectives, and policies. What are the stakeholders? Some of the key stakeholders are creditors. Stakeholder is just a technical term, but all the terms under the stakeholders are very familiar to you. First come the directors, then employees, government, owners, suppliers, unions, and the community from which the business draw its resources. These are some key stakeholders. Let's study in detail. Enterprise application stakeholder. First in the incepting phase. In the incepting phase, we are having key stakeholder of the incepting phase is sponsors and customers. Okay, what we have studied in our life cycle of enterprise application, that first phase is incepting phase. And in the incepting phase, we have studied that we gather over requirement, we analysis over requirement, we plan over activity, and we estimate over project. These were the keywords of our incepting words. Here, as the incepting phase is concerned, requirement phase is concerned, who gives the requirement? The customer gives the requirement. So the stakeholder here, stakeholder means any person, right? Here the key stakeholder means either it could be the sponsor or could be the customer, who will be the key stakeholder here. Then comes the architecting and designing phase. This is the second phase in the life cycle of enterprise application. In the enterprise architects, data architects, integration architects, solution architects, application architects, here they are all the stakeholders. We are using different names for the person. Could be possible if one person is related to your data activity is called the data architect. If it is related with the combining of the data, integration of data objects is called the integration architect. If the person is related with to the design solution is called the solution architect. If the person is related to your application architect is called the application architect. Respective designers also join hands with architects in their respective area. As there are few examples of your architects in the architecting and designing phase that we use these words for their stakeholder. These words means there are different designation in an enterprises. If the one person is related is in the design phase, then he may have the designation with the enterprise architect. The other person may have the designation with the data architect. Other person have the designation of integration architect. Okay, let's take an example that one person is working over some data, is called the data architect, but other person is working on to integration to combining the data objects is called the integration architect. So it could be possible that two person will work together, can work together for some activity. So here it is written that respective designers also join hands. That means different stakeholders or different persons who are at the different designations may join hands with architects in their respective areas so that they work together to fulfill any project. Then comes the construction phase. In the construction phase, we use the stakeholder as the name of programmer. Then again, the programmer is further divided into further categories. Here the designation is programmer is there. Either the programmer could be a system programmer or the software programmer. If the person is working over the operating system, compiler, linker, loader, editor, any sort of these activities is called the system programmer. But if any person is working over the software project or some application is called the application programmer. Then comes the testing phase. Here the testing phase includes the integration testing team, performance testing technique, application security testing technique, interface testing team, user acceptance testing team, and could be more testing tech teams. Here the stakeholder name is integration testing team. That means the testing area is further divided into subparts as the person is having the designation of testing integration team. That means that person is working under a team which perform only the integration testing. Then if we want performance testing over the same project, then it will be passed to the performance testing team. That means all the testing is not performed by a single person or a single team. A further teams has been divided where the different type of testing has been performed in different areas. Then comes the rollout phase. Rollout phase means release team and representatives of the team. Uh, we must have heard of marketing team. Okay, marketing team which verify when we launch our product, when we roll out our product, what would be the cost of our product, so that we may not feel any loss in future. Then it comes the release team and representative of the team. Here you will find out all the persons are working in different areas are with the different names. Okay, we call this as a enterprise application stakeholders. Other important stakeholder: process group, product group, service group, IT application group, IT infrastructure group, analyst group, vendors, etc. These were the main that were related to your phases. It could be possible that you may find out some other stakeholders which are working under the different groups. If the person is related with the infrastructure, then it will become under the infrastructure group. If the person is working any IT application group, then it is called the IT application group. That means different areas and different departments are there. And if the person is working under that department, then one particular team or one particular group will be considered, or either a single individual designation or name will be given to that stakeholder. Here we will find out raising enterprise application in detail. That thing we have covered, but we will give a pictorial representation of all the things. First is enterprise analysis is there. It provides reason to the business. Then is enterprise application architecture is there. Then is business modeling is there. Then fourth come the requirement engineering is there. Application architecture is there. Application design is there. Then is construction is there. Testing and deployment is there. Application rollout is there. We have covered all the things in one of our previous sessions and in And in today's session, this is just a pictorial representation of all the raising enterprise application. Then comes the skill required to build an enterprise application. First, the knowledge of organization dynamics, then is the domain knowledge, then comes the business analysis skills. Let's start with the knowledge of organizational dynamics. It says, what are the skills required when you are going to raise an application? In the life cycle of raising an application, we have studied that we're having some phases or some stages, and in each stage we are having different type of stakeholder. Then what are the skills are required? These are the main key domains where the skills are required. First is knowledge of organizational dynamic. Knowledge is there. Organization means any particular business, any particular enterprise which we are going to work with, we must have deep knowledge about that. It understands the organizational business and business needs of end user. Then comes the domain knowledge. It comes handy especially during incepting, architecting and design and testing phase of the application. In which area we are working with comes under the domain knowledge. So you don't have any knowledge related to a particular domain, but you are in that particular team, but you don't know how to proceed. You are just following others. That is not like you are having your domain knowledge. Knowledge means you are having complete knowledge on that particular area on which you are working on. Then comes the business analysis skills. Here comes the conglomeration of the domain knowledge, technical knowledge, use of business analysis related tools and practice of soft skills. That means there is a collaboration is needed between the domain knowledge, technical knowledge and business analysis. That means all the things should be work together. You must have the knowledge of your area, you must have the knowledge of your technical skill, you must have the knowledge of your marketing as well. Then comes the program management skill. It includes planning, estimating, budgeting, talent management, change management, positive communication, and many more. Here the terms are different here. One is the program management team, other is called the programming skill. Fine. Program management team means when we are going with when the program is going to start, don't intermix with the coding part. Here we will consider here as the requirement phase is there. Similarly, as we have covered stages, we are going to cover skills under that phases. Here, firstly come the program management skill. When the program is going to be start, then how it will be get managed, that there should be a proper estimation or planning should be there when you're going to start a program. Then comes the architecting and designing skill. It means when you're going to design an architecture, you must have the knowledge what type of architectural pattern, design paradigms like object orientation, spec orientation, service orientation, is all the tools related to your design activity. You must have that knowledge. Knowledge of your modeling language, knowledge of your database, knowledge of your framework, knowledge of your viewpoints, all the things. The person who is under that, the stakeholder who is under that skill must have that knowledge. Then comes the programming skill. As I have told you that don't intermix the program management skill with the programming skill. Program management means when you're going to manage a program starting with the requirement activity, then comes the programming skill. The programming skills means a programmer or coder who is going to code the source code. That means the person must have the knowledge of the IDE. The person must have the knowledge of your other unit testing tools. The programmer must have the knowledge of code review skills whatsoever are under the coding techniques. The person who is going with the programming must have the knowledge of that. It includes knowledge of programming language, knowledge of the underlying platforms, knowledge of an integrated development environment tool, programming best practices, code review skills, knowledge of unit testing tools, configuration management, build to static code analysis, dynamic code analysis, and so on. Then comes the testing skills. Here the testing skills include the person should have the skill for performing integration testing, performance testing, load testing, stress testing, application security testing, interface testing, and user acceptance testing. All the testing has been repeated here. Just the thing is, a person must have the knowledge or must have the skill to use to perform that testing technique. Then comes the knowledge of the tools. If any tool is used, then the person should have the knowledge. The person is using any software which is tool assisted, that person must have the knowledge how to use that tool. Then comes the new topic that is called the key determinants of successful enterprise application. Here comes the business case readiness, then the strategy to execute the excellence in execution. If we consider these words very carefully, we will find out what are the key determinants. It says what are the key points, what are the key determinants when we want our application, we want our business to be successful. If we consider first point, it's a business case readiness. That means our application should be completely fulfilled, should satisfy the our customer which we are going to launch. Then is strategy to execute, when to launch our application, when to launch our product. Then is excellence in execution. When you have launched your product, you are getting only the profit. Let's study business case readiness. This is supported by organizational objectives, visions, strategy. This is supported from financial perspective and has acceptance of all key stakeholders. An application should have been well-defined parameter derived based on business case to measure its success. Then comes the strategy to execute. Here comes the comprehensive plan that is required to manifest budget, resource, and timeline. Then comes the excellence in execution, that is completion of project. Then comes the measuring the success of enterprise application. Once we are done with raising an enterprise application, we need to measure its success based on different parameters. Suppose when you are ready with your application, you have raised your application, then its success depends upon the following parameters. The parameters are effectiveness of the solution. That means the solution that you have found should be effective. Quality of enterprise application in terms of non-functional requirements. You still must be confused about what is the difference between functional and non-functional. Here you must consider there is a terminology that is non-functional requirement. We will study that what is non-functional requirement. We will just consider here a single term, that is quality of enterprise. First is solution should be effective, it should be quality oriented. Then is time to production. That means it should be the product which has been ready, the application which has been ready should be on time. Adherence to budget and timeliness. That means either the your application should not exceed budget as well as a timeline. Then comes the cost effective of an application. Then comes the productivity of development team. The productivity of development teams means the development team has launched the product in the market when it is found to be profitable. Then comes the ERP. Now coming to the topic of ERP, what is ERP? ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. The practice of consolidating an enterprise planning, manufacturing, sales, and marketing efforts into one management system. It means if we consider the terminology ERP, then enterprise is there. That means one business is there, one resources are there, and how they are planning out their resources in their respective departments is called the enterprise resource planning. In the further pictorial views, it will be clear to you that how your business will proceed if you work without ERP, or how your business will proceed if you work with the ERP. Fine. Combining all the databases across departments into a single database that can be accessed by all employees. So your data is there, but your data is only with you. And but other department requires that data. But the other department don't know whether you are having that data, but they are required. Then what they will do? They will find out, they will search out that how they can gather data. That means they will invest their time for data gathering there. Fine. But ERP will do to access the data from a single database is called ERP. Let's find out how it works. This is all the evolution of ERP. In 1960s, it was software packages with inventory control. In 1970s, MRP system. 1980s, MRP2 system. 1990s, MRP2 systems. These are all the evolution. And in the 1990s, instead of MRP, the terminology has been changed to ERP. This is how do ERP system work, and let's understand it. First, you are having one central database which is at the center location. The other activities which are highlighted in green are sales and delivery applications. Suppose there is one department with the name of sales and delivery application. They only handle the sales and delivery. They are connected to central database. Then there is one reporting application. They generate reports and all the stuff. They are also related to central database. Then comes the manufacturing application. The manufacturing section is there. They're also related to the central database. Then inventory and supply application. The suppliers, they're also related to the central database. Then is HR management application. HR department is there. They are also related to the central database. The service applications, they are also related to the central database. Means a single database is there where all the different departments are dependent. Right? But if I will consider this first. But if they are not depending over a single central database, then how the system will look like? Fine. I will start from this. There is a purchasing department, right? At the left hand side, lower left hand side, find out there is a one purchasing department. They want to purchase something. They go to the vendor directly to purchase something, and they will place their order. But when they place their order, the accounting department is not aware of this, that purchasing department has purchased something, right? They haven't updated the accounting department. There is warehouse department. The warehouse department also needs some part. They may go to the purchasing department, but still they haven't included the accounting department. Means they are not using other departments in hand, so that they work individually. And there is one sales department. Sales department check for parts. They, if they are not having their parts, they go to the warehouse. They warehouse find out they are not there, they go to the purchasing will directly go to the vendor. They are not including other uh, accounting department. They are not updating any other department. They are not updating their inventory files. Means all the departments are working individually, either one or two departments working together or in collaboration, but they are not all. The system is working over a central database. They are working individually. This is called before RP. When there is a mess of all the things, if we consider the same system after a ERP, then if the customer is there, customer will order parts. Which is the responsibility to take order? Which department will take order? Sales department. Let's consider here. Here there is a customer. Customer will go to the sales department. Sales department will go to the accounting file. Here the sales department will go to the database. In the previous, the sales department was going to the accounting department or accounting files, right? But here the sales department is going to the central database. Here the purchasing department is there. If we consider before ERP, in the purchasing department was directly going to the vendor, but here, after the ERP, in the purchasing department, the purchasing department is directly concerning with the central database. They want to purchase something, they are giving the record to the central database. There is accounting department, they are again connected to central database. If there is a warehouse department, they are again connected to the central database. Means if any sort of department is there, as we have described here, any sort of department is there, either they are recruiting the person, either they are manufacturing team, they are under the sales and delivery section, they are in the reporting section, whatsoever be the section is there, they will go to the central database. Here I will consider this. These are called the different departments are there: purchase, payroll, HR, CRM, accounting, inventory, sales, vendor management, manufacturing. They are having one central database. They are having one central database over which they will work. Similarly, here there is a central database where all the departments will depend upon. This is called ERP. ERP said no individual department will purchase anything without the consent of the central database. Then comes the before ERP and after ERP comparison. Here, before ERP, standalone system is there. If one department is working but other department is not aware of it, then it is called standalone system. But if two departments are working in collaboration, then it is called integrated system. Then if two departments are not working together, then there is a lack of coordination among business functions. How there is lack of coordination is there? That there must be some wastage of time. They are requiring same sort of data. Both the departments are working individually, but they're requiring same data. That means there is a wastage of time, wastage of budget, wastage of, you may say data duplicacy would be there, in fact. But after ERP, support coordination among business functions. If one department is having data, they may share with other departments. Then is non-integrated data. Data have different meanings. Integrated data, data have same meaning across multiple functions. Systems are maintained on procedural basis that the changes affect multiple functions or systems. Here redundant data or inconsistent information is there. Here common interfaces across system. Before ERP, if we consider, then it is very difficult to maintain the data. There are some examples that will show that how before ERP and after ERP your system will work. One main advantage of ERP could be there that if one customer is buying some regular products from one company, then they may have the record of that person, but other department is not aware of it. Fine. If you are going to purchase some clothing, then suppose that the same company is selling some electronic gadgets. They are having some new offers, but two departments are working individually, right? Then how one department will get your data to update you? Sometime we get a mail related to it that we have purchased some clothes, but we are getting some updates related to some electronic gadgets products, some other activities that the same vendors are producing. That means if they are having over data and they are sharing over data among them, then we may have advantage as well as the company may have advantage. They may lure the customer to purchase their product. Then modules of ERP. Here comes the various modules of ERP: finance, HR, purchasing, inventory. First comes the finance module. In this, data is collected from various functional departments and generate financial reports, ledgers, trial balance, balance sheets, etc. It is not mandatory that if I have written here 4 modules, there are 4 modules. These are the major modules. Each and every enterprise must have these modules. It may vary from enterprise to enterprise. Fine. I have just written down some very popular modules that is mandatory that each enterprise must have. First comes the financial department. Purchasing activity is there. Balance sheet should be there. Balance sheets like salary statement should be there. That all the financial activities comes under the financial module. Then comes the HR module. Here comes the recruitment is there. HR module routinely maintain a complete employee database, including contact information, salary detail, attendance, promotion of all the employees. Anything related to the employees will become under the HR module. Anything related to the finance, anything related to the cost or budget comes under the finance module, but anything related to the uh, employee comes under the HR module. Here it includes the produce paycheck reports, maintain personal record, training, time and attendance benefit. Then ERP purchasing department. If any company is running or any business is running and the enterprise is running, that means they have to purchase something, purchase resources. Purchasing module is tightly integrated with the inventory control and production planning module. Here comes the inventory module. Inventory module facilitates processes of maintaining appropriate level of stock in the warehouse. How much stock is in the warehouse, that is comes under the inventory control management, that when they have to purchase, when they have to order new things, when they have lack of resources, when they can purchase new things, or when they can purchase that items which are going to be short in future. Then major challenges to the ERP implementation. Thus, the implementation of ERP technical capabilities. Second is inconsistency with existing business processes. Then comes the cost implementation. It includes hardware, software, training, consulting, and maintenance. Then comes changes in employers' responsibility. That means when you're going to implement the ERP, these are the major challenges when an ERP system handles. Some technical problems could be there. Some business may have inconsistency. Some business may have some cost implementation. Then some business may have some employee. You may say that when they are recruiting one employee, the one employee is working for 1 month, then they are withdrawing their jobs. Then these could be problems in the ERP system. They have to be updated their ERP again and again. Then comes the flexibility of software system upgrades, implementation of timelines, availability of internal technical knowledge and resources, education and training, implementation strategy and execution, resistance to change. There are potential benefits of ERP, some internal benefits as well as some external benefits are there. Internal benefits includes integration of single source of data, common data definition, a real-time system, increased productivity, reduced operating cost, improved internal communication, foundation for future improvement. Then external benefit, it improved customer services and order fulfillment, it improved communication with suppliers and customers, it enhanced competitive position, it increased sales and profits as well. Then after the internal and external benefits, here comes the direct and indirect benefits. Direct benefits: improved efficiency, information integration for better decision making, faster response time to customer queries. Indirect benefits: better corporate image, improved customer goodwill, customer satisfaction. Then comes the CRM. CRM consists of three definitional components in its architectural structure, that is customer relationship and then management is there. Suppose our customer who buys regular product from us and could be our potential customer. Potential customer could be, that means our future customer. To maintain their data for future interaction comes under customer relation management. That means if we are having our customer and we want to promote our product to the customers for our future, we may say that we must have good relationship among the customer. To manage that good relationship among the customer, we say that that is called a customer relationship management. Suppose sometime we purchase something and call customer care. They provide complete detail related to us regarding what we have purchased and when we have purchased, what was the cost of that product. It was not mandatory that the same person or same customer care person will attend our call. It is mandatory that customer data is available in all departments. Suppose you have purchased some food item, but your details should be shared with the clothing section, electronic section also, so that if they have no new offer, they can update you, they can maintain a good relationship among the customer. Even we may say that the small company roughly organize their data. They generally organize data in Excel format. But if you are having some furniture enterprise, let's take an example, you simply use Excel and put the detail of the customer. But if you with the large scale company, you are having proper software, then each department can have your data at the central database and they can get your data, and that is called the customer relationship management. Basically ERP system and customer relationship management system, they are depending on, both the terminologies are depending upon each other. ERP is having, every department is working over a central database, and fine. Similarly, CRM means your customer details should be at the central level so that each department can access it. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management and refers to all strategies, techniques, tools, and technologies used by enterprise for developing, retaining, and acquiring customers. This software ensures that every step of the interaction with customer goes smoothly and efficiently in order to increase the overall profits. Whatsoever you say to your customer care, they don't argue with you. They only try to satisfy you because they want to satisfy their customer. The software gathers customer data from multiple channels. Your CRM stores detailed information on overall purchase history, personal info, and even purchasing behavior patterns.